Hello everybody, and good day or even good evening if that's the time of the day you're actually watching this video. May I say first of all, welcome to the channel, Swin Feeling Good, and I'm feeling good today. I hope you're feeling good too, and today we're going to present you with my top tips for travelling to and across and around Thailand. So travel in Thailand is really pretty good. It's pretty inexpensive, and you can get your baht will take you quite a long way. Just a few things to tell you about. First of all, if you go to some areas, there are little minibuses available to take you here and there. They're okay for short runs, but don't use them on the long runs. They do have a bit of a history for having accidents and things, and being there quite small. Now, other than that, so let's start with you arriving at the airport. When you arrive at the airport, maybe you've already organised your hotel limo and it's going to take you there. That is fine. But quite frankly, the cheapest way and easiest way to get around, if you're going to Bangkok and you haven't got too many bags on you, then travelling by train is quite easy. The train now takes you straight into Bangkok itself, and then you've got the Sky Train, as they call it there, to take you in and around. But of course that's not better. You're going to have to navigate that a little bit towards your hotel, wherever that is going to be. So personally, and especially as we usually carry quite a lot of luggage with us, we will prefer to get a taxi. Now if you go downstairs to where it says public taxis, you will see the signs. Ignore the touts around trying to get you to go with their particular taxi company. Ignore those, go downstairs to public taxis, and there you will find an area there where you queue, and it changes every time I go. Sometimes it's machines, sometimes it's a person, but basically it's a fixed price. So they will tell you there and then how much it's going to cost you to go to your hotel or the area you're going to go to. And that is even if you're going as far afield as down to Pattaya, which is quite a long way. You look at an hour and a half taxi ride, and that's a fixed price as well. So you know exactly what you're going to pay, and you know it's safe and straight and easy, no problems. And they will deliver you directly to your hotel. Okay, that is very easy for you. Okay, up in Chiang Mai, if you're there, again, they go to the far end, you'll see some white taxis there, and the same sort of thing applies there. You work out the price before you get in, and then they take you directly to your hotel, so you don't have to think too much and carry all that luggage around, do you? Now, taxis in general, especially in and around Bangkok, or Bolt if you're down in Pattaya, there are taxi companies very similar to Uber if you're used to using those. So it's well worth that you download to your phone their app before you come to Thailand, and it's called Grab, G-R-A-B. You can use it anywhere. You can either pay by cash or you can register your credit card with them. Now, normally most people with Grab will register the credit card with them. If you're using Bolt down in Pattaya, they at the moment are only accepting cash, so you just pay the driver whatever the app says. So yeah, just download it to your phone, and that's a very inexpensive way to travel, up to half the price of what the normal taxis were before. So I recommend it, Grab and Bolt, okay, for your taxi rides. There are meter taxis everywhere. Make sure they use the meter and don't get in the taxi unless they put it on the meter. Many of the Bangkok drivers, because of the heavy traffic there, don't like to use the meter and want to charge you a bit extra. So make sure you get that sorted out before you get in the taxi, so there's no confusion when you're coming to pay. Always make sure you know what you're doing before you get in up front. Also, let's talk about those tuk-tuks. Now, tuk-tuks are great fun if you want to have a bit of excitement racing around the capital. That they can be a bit smoky, you can get a mouthful of exhaust fumes. They do get you there sometimes a little bit quicker, but they're certainly no cheaper. They are there, use them for fun. They are quite good. And make sure the guy knows where he's taking you, because a couple of times I've got in there and the guy didn't know where he was going. But I made him stick to the price, and we got there eventually after asking another tuk-tuk driver the way. So yeah, they're a bit strange, the tuk-tuks, but great fun. Enjoy it, have fun. You're on your holidays. Oh, wow. I'm getting quite excited for you, really. I wish I was coming with you. The flights, certainly with Air Asia and Smile and some of the other ones, they're very reasonable. So if you want to travel from one end to Thailand, the prices are quite reasonable. So for maybe a couple of thousand baht, you can travel from one end of Thailand to the other. And that means you can go out and explore the place more. Don't forget to take your passport with you, by the way, and your credit cards. But yeah, no, they're very reasonable. Other than that, you can go by bus or you can go by train, but they do take a long time. If you get the train, let's say from Bangkok to Chiang Mai, you are looking many hours on that train to get there. And if you're going the other way around, let's say down to Pattaya, again there is no real train service other than, I think it's about 6 o'clock in the morning. It takes nearly 5 hours, so it takes you an hour and a half on, with a taxi. The planes are very reasonable. Taxis are not too bad either. If you ask, you'll be quite surprised how much a taxi will charge to take you somewhere. And often, if you want to go somewhere, supposing you want to go to Ayutthaya, let's say, that there are some tours that you can get on and they're quite good. But if you want to go privately, just get a taxi. He would take you there and negotiate the price. He will sit there and wait for you and may even take you around a bit and then bring you home again at the end of the day. And quite often they would do that at quite a reasonable price. I'm always surprised how cheap that is. So that's a good way of travel as well. As I say, the normal buses, they often travel long distances. They will travel through the night, and they do take a very long time, and not my favourite way of travel, as you can tell. Personally, I prefer the plane, but like all plane travel, it takes you ages to get on the plane, doesn't it? So you go to the airport and on the plane, giving your passport, get in, check in, and all that sort of stuff. But it's pretty reasonable. So if you want to explore around Thailand, the next bit we have to talk about is when Swin here starts to get very serious with you. Now, pedestrians walking on the roads and the sidewalks or pavements, whatever you call them, in Thailand is a bit risky in places, and crossing the road in particular. Be very careful crossing the road. Most countries in the world nowadays seem to give preference to the pedestrian. Thailand seems to give preference to the motorist, or at least the motorist thinks that. Their sort of driving test is a little bit limited, and they're trying to change it. They're trying to hammer it home, but they're finding it very difficult. And I've got a couple of interesting pictures here I'll show you in ways that they've been trying to encourage people to use the crossings. I call them zebra crossings or pedestrian crossings, with always zigzags on. The problem is they've been having with those is that the Thai traffic does not stop. Even if it's a pedestrian crossing, got zigzags on it, got traffic lights on it showing red to the traffic, you'll find the traffic does not stop, or very rarely so. And when a traffic has stopped, there's been some quite well-known accidents now where someone's bumped into them because they stopped for the pedestrian. So it is very difficult to that's one of my biggest hates in Thailand is crossing the road. So be very careful. I must admit, I wanted to cross a road in Bangkok a little while ago, and I thought, oh, am I going to cross this? I ended up following this about 8-year-old, waiting at the curb, and I followed them. And her way of crossing the road was basically 4 lanes of traffic. She walked one, that would stop for her because she was there. Then she walked into the next lane and so on across the road. But it's use the bridges, whatever. Get a taxi, go the other side of the road if you like. Now, the other way of getting around Thailand is to drive yourself and hire a car. So if you're travelling reasonable distances and you want the luxury of a car, you can easily hire one. Equally, if you're just flitting around locally, then a lot of people do hire little motorbikes, but be very careful. Those little motorbikes, the traffic is horrendous. Thailand has some of the worst driving records and as far as accidents are concerned in the world, so be very careful. Now, the first thing to say is Thailand drives on the left-hand side of the road, so if you come from the USA, you're going to be the opposite side of the road to you're used to. If you come from the UK, of course, it's the same side as the UK, so you'll be all right, okay? But be very wary. When you hire the vehicle, whatever it might be, make sure you go to a reputable company. Make sure you take out the full extent of your insurance, because over there it is very difficult. It's an accident. You being a foreigner, quite often they find it easier to blame the foreigner because you're more likely to have some money in your pocket. So you've got to be pretty careful about driving over there. So make sure you've got the adequate insurance so anything can be sorted out. Equally, if you get into a dangerous accident over there, the health service is not free and you must be insured. And if they do get carted off to a hospital somewhere or other, they will want to know that you have got separate medical insurance. But I'm not trying to put you off because I drive over there quite a lot. I've never been in any serious accidents yet, but they do happen. So be very careful, drive carefully, drive safely, and make sure you get adequate insurance. That's what I want to tell you. Now, one thing about your driving licence. Now, I've looked this up on the internet in the past, and I've got a UK driving licence, so you might have a US one, or a European one, or an Australian one, or wherever you come from one. You look it up and it says, yeah, that's okay, you can drive in Thailand. Well, unless you come from an ASEAN, or ASEAN country, that's those group of countries like Malaysia, Singapore and the like that have all joined together, then according to the police, certainly, your driving licence will not be accepted and you will be fined for using it. They won't stop you driving, but what they often do is they will say, leave your car there or your bike there, here's your fine, go to the police station, pay your fine, and when you've paid your fine, and having been fined over there, you could wait 2 or 3 hours to pay the fine, then make your way back to where the policeman is again, and he'll let you have your car back. So it's not very good at all. You don't want to get into it. So make sure, if you do, that you get one of these. And this is called what they require is that licence, which is valid, but it's only valid if you've got an international driving. That's it, right way up. International driving permit. It's a pretty scruffy little document that in the UK literally costs you £6.50, less than $10 in the local post office. So, as I say, nothing very special. Looks like an old-fashioned sort of document that they had probably 30, 40 years ago. But the two together, and then they're quite happy to accept your driving licence. So make sure before you go that you go and apply for an international driving permit, and then you can use your normal driving licence. But one thing to warn you about, online there are many companies advertising international driving licences, and they're not real. They are not international driving licences. I've seen some charging as much as $100 to do it, and they send you a card that looks like this that's got international driving licence on it. It's not real. It's not worth the money you're likely to spend on it, because what you need is simply one of those, your driving licence and your international driving permit, and that's it. The main difference is that this is then translates this one into lots of different languages, and then they accept it. The strange thing is it's not in Thai, but they're quite happy to accept that one. I don't get into trouble over there. Now, I must admit, because I go there quite often, I do have a Thai driving licence, so I'm a bit of a sneak, okay? But make sure you do that, and then you won't get into trouble. The other thing is, of course, I'm talking about seatbelts. Seatbelts are mandatory, and they will fine you if you are not wearing your seatbelt, or any of your people in your vehicle are not wearing the seatbelts. And often I've got in taxis and things, they say, oh, no police around here, don't worry about your seatbelt. I am more worried about crashing and saving my life than I'm worried about the policeman. So wear your seatbelt is what I will tell you, okay? Especially if you don't want to land on your head or you don't want to get fined. And that also applies to crash helmet if you are riding your motorbike. Now, despite what you'll see all the locals doing, even riding past policemen, you will need to be wearing a crash helmet, and your pedestrian, not your pedestrian, the guy on the back, pillion, that's the word I'm looking for. Your pillion will also need to be need a crash helmet if you've got one. So, and they are pretty hot on that. It's the same sort of level fine, and the same thing as I said before about the driving licence. They'll tell you to park your bike over there, go to the police station, pay your fine, and come back. Which is a right pain in the proverbial, a place where you can't put your crash helmet anyway. So you've been warned, okay? Drive safely, drive carefully. The rules are very, very similar to most other countries in the world. Other than I said before, they just don't stop on zebra crossing. The roads in Thailand are usually pretty good in most places, but you can suddenly run off to a point where they're not so good, and suddenly you will find maybe a big hole in the road that you weren't expecting. No real warnings that other than what they often do. Someone will cut a branch off a tree or pull a branch off a tree and put it in the ground or near the hole just to warn you. So if you're driving up the road and you see a branch lying in the road, be warned, there's probably a dirty great big hole behind it somewhere, so be careful. Yeah, so other than that, as I say, take it easy, drive carefully, Hope you enjoy it if you're travelling to Thailand soon. I hope you found some of these tips useful. If you did, I really appreciate it if you gave us a like, and also more importantly if you subscribe, because we're trying to get our subscribe numbers up at the moment, and we're working on it and they're coming up gently, I am pleased to say. So all I can say now, this is Swin on the Feeling Good channel. So it's Swin Feeling Good saying bye bye for now, and hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.